Hello and welcome to the Queensborough Community College Academic Literacy Online video tutorial. In this tutorial, we will be discussing reading comprehension. Now, oftentimes a student will come to the Writing Center in H237, and perhaps they've gotten an assignment back from their teacher, and it's all marked up, and they don't know what they've done wrong, or they don't know how they can fix it. Sometimes they'll even ask about something very, very specific, like the second sentence of the third paragraph, or, is my significant idea correct? Something like that. When actually the problem is they didn't read the article correctly. They didn't read the article carefully. So reading comprehension, or the comprehension of reading. Now we're going to be outlining a number of steps here. First thing is that you need to use an English dictionary. Students have all kinds of dictionaries, and that's fine, but the most important aspect is that it is an English dictionary. It is not a translation dictionary. Oftentimes, translations, words don't mean the same thing in two different languages. So you'll kind of be taking a very large risk, and risks are something that you want to minimize when writing and when taking the CATW, especially. Another important aspect of reading is take your time, right? You want to read words carefully. Don't jump to conclusions and skip sections, okay? You want to be learning and analyzing as you read. You don't want to just be reading the words. You want to be understanding the words. You want to be analyzing the words, considering their meaning. If you need a dictionary, you should always have one with you, right next to you. And the subject of another video, which is annotate. Annotate means to take notes, to highlight, and kind of mark up the article for yourself to make things easier, to simplify them. Once you have used a dictionary, you've taken your time, you've learned, and you've analyzed, and you've annotated, it's good enough. It's good enough. On the CATW, you have a certain amount of time, 90 minutes to be exact, and in order to have enough time to write and to proofread your work, and planning as well, which are all very important steps, you can only spend so much time reading the article. And once you've gotten a fair understanding of it, it's time to move on. You can't really read it 3 or 4 times. It's not going to work for you. So these are just a few points for your consideration. So if we have a word like dinosaur, right? Now you could look that up in your dictionary, and it could tell you dinosaur is a large prehistoric lizard that populated the earth thousands and thousands of years ago. But do you really understand what the word dinosaur is now? Do you really feel that word? Are you really able to speak about it? Maybe has it drawn comparisons in your own mind, maybe to other things that are alive today? Or maybe they're not even things at all. They're just ideas. Well, if you understand the word dinosaur to mean this or this, now you're more likely to have an idea, to be generating new ideas, to be generating good ideas instead of if you've just looked up the word dinosaur and understand it very surface level, on the surface, right? Your essay begins when you read the article. Now, that's an interesting point, and that's a subtle point, but it's a very important point. Your essay, your writing begins when you read. If you haven't read, then you're not going to be able to write. Your reading actually is going to determine your writing. Okay? How well you read, how carefully you read sentences, if you use a dictionary, and understand words so that, for example, a dinosaur becomes a dinosaur. The feeling of something large and scary and frightening. These are ideas we're going to be discussing in further lessons on development, but it's still important to mention now. Students generally who read, you stand out. They stand out in a classroom. Students who read learn more. Students who read on a daily basis, 15, 20 minutes a day, go to NewYorkTimes.com, go to NewYorker.com, go to just about anything. As long as you're reading, you should be reading every day. Students who read are more engaged. They're more engaged in class. They're more engaged in their writing. They pass this test. Students who read pass this test. There really is no shortcut. Maybe we could discuss the directions of this test very briefly, which tells you to read the passage above and write an essay responding to the ideas it presents. Okay, so here we have these words, read and respond. Now, a response is something very natural. It's not always something so closely 100% related to what has just been said. But it's a natural kind of response. Hey, how are you? I'm good. How are you? Oh, I just got off work. I'm really tired. Oh, you know what? My friend was just working and this happened to him. Now, that last idea came from the first person. However, it's moving on to a new idea. It's moving on to a related idea, certainly, but it's a natural response. That's a very important word, response. The directions then say to develop your essay by identifying one idea in the passage that you feel is especially significant and explain its significance. So we have the words develop, and we have the word significance. Right? These are also very important words. You need to consider their meaning. So the word develop, again, as we've just said, in order to develop something, you need to bring it to new territory. You need to take a familiar idea, you need to take an idea that was presented to you in the article, and you need to bring it to a new territory. You need to figure out the concept that is behind that idea, and then to discuss the significance of that concept, that idea. You're no longer discussing the specific aspect in very minute detail how that idea functions in the article. Make sense? You might want to go back and play that part again. We're going to discuss annotation a little bit. There's also a separate video on annotation, which you should definitely check out if you haven't already done so. Basically, annotation means to underline or highlight. The second point is to paraphrase something you have read. When you annotate, it allows you to simplify ideas from the article in a way that they are better manageable during the planning phase of writing, during the writing phase of writing. And it's about simplify, right? Now we're going to look at an article here. Just maybe the first paragraph of an article. Okay, there we are. And this article was discussed in another video, the video on annotation. Let's read this together very briefly, and we'll discuss each of the pieces of it. This is reading comprehension, okay? Last week in Palo Alto, California, Apple revealed the details of its next big thing, the Apple Watch. This small electronic device attaches to your wrist, much like the watch your parents may wear. However, it does much more than anyone from that era might have dreamed possible from such a tiny package. The Apple Watch functions much like a simpler version of your smartphone. You can send brief text messages, answer calls, check the weather, and track your exercise using the watch's motion sensors. This is from the article, An Improvement or Just Another Distraction by Archibald Schwartz. Last week in Palo Alto, California, Apple revealed the details of its next big thing, the Apple Watch. So, again, this first sentence is pretty much just an introduction. Details. When? Last week. Where? Palo Alto, California. What happened? Apple revealed the details of the Apple Watch. There's still a lot of information we need to know. This small electronic device attaches to your wrist, much like the watch your parents might wear, but it's not quite the same as watches that they have worn, right? So it's kind of setting us up. How is it not the same? You should be asking yourself that. How? Reading and writing are really more about having the right questions than having the right answers. You should be asking yourself why constantly. You should be asking yourself how or who does this affect if there's an issue in an article. Who is this issue affecting? Maybe it's affecting one group of people differently from the other group of people. Now, you might not be following all of my questions that I'm spitting out right now, but you should be taking away the same, you should be taking away the philosophy of what I'm saying, which is just to be curious, again, to ask questions. That's really the key to reading, is asking questions. The Apple Watch functions much like a simpler version of your smartphone. Now, finally, we have a direct kind of answer. What does the Apple Watch do? Well, it functions, it's a lot like your smartphone. It's just a smaller version of your smartphone on your wrist. It does all of these things that are listed here, text messages, calls, the weather, etc. Right? Now, maybe any one of these things, text messages, calls, checking the weather, tracking your exercise with motion sensors, any one of those things could be your significant idea, or any one of those could not be your significant idea. The important thing is that you understand every sentence. You understand that not every sentence is crucial to your understanding of the article. The best readers, the best students, the best thinkers are the ones who are able to tune out what is not important, what is not crucial, and to focus on the sentence or the idea that is. Because these articles are 4 or 5 or 6 paragraphs, and there's a lot of noise in them. There's a lot of things that could potentially confuse you. But as long as you're as long as you're asking, rather, the right questions of the article, it should be steering you in the right direction. Now, if you have any questions about this, please feel free to contact us. You can come to the Writing Center in room H237, which is in the Humanities building, right next to the computer lab on the second floor. There's always a tutor, ready, willing, and able to handle your questions, your ponderances. There is an assignment below this video, which is practice for your reading comprehension skills. Thank you very much, and be seeing you.